Have all of y'all been able to log into Cengage? Hello. All right. So did anybody look at the study packet any further from since we left class? Did anybody have any questions about anything? I don't need you to turn it in. It will help you if you finish it. Because that's something that you can use to actually study for your exam for chapter 1. Like I said, when I printed it out, it didn't print out the other, I think it's 4 questions on the study packet as a whole in Cengage. But all of them are in Cengage. So you could reprint it out. It should, let me make sure you should be able to do it unlimited. Let me double check and make sure that it didn't put a limitation on there. Hold on. On my end, it says that you could do it unlimited times, but also your homework does say that too. So you're in Canvas, it's only gonna say, I think the only thing that shows is the homework. But if you go into the actual Cengage now, you can see the homework, you can see the quiz that y'all did, and you can see the study packet in there as well.
Is that the homework?
No. The homework for chapters 1, 2, and 3 is due the Sunday before our exam, and I hadn't given you the exam day. That's what I told y'all on the first day. That y'all heard what I said for the first day, okay? Okay. Just do the homework, do the best you can, and turn it in, okay? Okay. But the study packet, it will behoove you to actually do it and look at it because you will probably see those questions again. Okay? You will see them again. Okay? All right. So do y'all have any questions about the questions that are on the study packet? What's your name? What class are you looking for? It's okay. I might not know y'all names all of them yet, but I know everybody's face. So I was like, I don't know. That was the first time seeing her. I was like, not sure. So do y'all have questions? Do y'all want to go over the rest of the problems in the study packet before we move on to chapter 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think it'll be important to go to help y'all understand, because we did kind of move a little fast at the end of chapter 1 with the two reports, is the cost of goods manufactured and the cost of goods sold. So on the front of your study guide, those were the two problems we worked out, right? All right, so the cost of goods manufactured, if you want to take notes on that, I would put in my notes that the cost of goods manufactured only includes work in process inventory. And your cost of goods sold includes your finished goods inventory. Because if you get problems where, if you get problems like in the study packet where it gives you the company's information, you need to automatically be able to look at the information that they give you and know which reports go on, which items go on which report, right? So if we're looking at the information from this company, I should automatically know that I'm gonna be looking at labor, I'm gonna be looking at materials, factory overhead, and work in process for my cost of goods manufactured. Because think about what it's saying. Cost of goods manufactured. This is all about how much it costs us to make our product. Okay, that's why finished goods is not included in there, because finished goods mean we already made it. So we got the statement of cost of goods manufactured. We want to know, we're just strictly trying to figure out what does it cost us to make that product. And to make that product, we're going to use our actual material, which is a product cost. We're going to use our labor and our factory overhead and the work in process inventory account. Okay. So, the work in process inventory account. Because remember, with the manufacturing company, you got 3 inventory accounts. Y'all remember what those 3 inventory accounts are? Raw material, work in process inventory, and finished goods inventory. Remember? Okay. All right. And this just helps you to see that the materials, we have materials inventory, work in process inventory, and finished goods inventory. These two are cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. Only this is cost of goods sold. That makes sense? So then when we work the problem out in your notes, I would have my cost of goods manufactured statement and what accounts go in there. So let me pull up the problem we worked so that y'all can know exactly what I'm talking about. Because some of y'all looking like y'all forgot what I was talking about. I'm talking about this problem we had right here. Y'all remember we worked that one out Tuesday? All right. In your notes, if I'm writing notes, I will have my statement of cost of goods manufactured. And I will write what accounts go over here and where the amounts go on the right-hand side. Okay? Because any problem that you work out, they're just going to want to know, do you know what accounts go on this statement and how to find the numbers? Okay?
Everything on the left side except the work in progress,
right? So like this one, remember, so if you go to, let's go to the PowerPoint and show you the cost of goods manufactured. Can y'all see that? That's too little. Hold on. Let me make it big. Hold on. Can y'all see that? Y'all need to be bigger. Is that better? Okay. So this is what the statement of cost of goods manufactured look like, okay? This is the same thing from the study packet, that first question, okay? So looking at this statement, this is what my notes will look like, okay? You can take a picture of it, or write it down, however you want to have it. The reason I'm telling you to put in your notes is because for this first test, I'm gonna let you have your notes. So it would behoove you to have some notes, okay? Okay. So this is the statement of cost of goods manufactured. And we're gonna break it down so that way, because like I said, the classroom is our, this is where we make mistakes, okay? So I want y'all, if y'all gonna make mistakes here so that you don't make the mistakes on the test, okay? So understanding what we're looking at the beginning of every statement of cost of goods manufactured, you're gonna always start with beginning inventory of work in process, okay? So it says work in process inventory January 1. How do I know that that's beginning inventory? It's the first of the month, okay? And then you have, remember I told you, then it breaks it down into materials, labor, and factory overhead, okay? They may not give you all of the information. So that's why I want you all to have this in your notes, because what if they only tell you the purchases in the information they give you? You still need to know where it goes, okay? Like the problem number 1, it only gave us the cost of materials available for use, okay? So it don't matter what part of this material they give you, you need to know that it goes on the left-hand side and you're gonna add it together, okay? And then you have direct labor. Direct labor, there's never any other information about direct labor that you will find other than it say direct labor, or it may say cost of direct labor, okay? And then factory overhead. Sometimes it'll only say indirect labor. But we know that indirect labor is factory overhead, okay? It's understood that anything that's indirect or anything that's indirect is considered factory overhead, right? So it may not explicitly say factory overhead, it'll say indirect labor. We know that's factory overhead. It'll say depreciation. We know that's factory overhead. Utilities, if it's just say water costs, we know that that's factory overhead. So it'll always go under factory overhead. All the information they give you for factory overhead is going to be your total factory overhead. And then, so that's breaking down what this statement says, okay? The statement is broken down to beginning, work in process inventory, your product cost, which is material, labor, factory overhead. When you add your product costs together, that gives you your total manufacturing cost, which is material, labor, factory overhead, okay? And you're gonna put the answer over on the right-hand side. Mm-hmm.
So right, total, right?
Yes.
Still trying to understand what
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on the left-hand side is things that you will have to calculate to get your totals. That make sense? So, mhm. If you put it on the right-hand side, it goes on the left. Labor goes on the left side.
That like the left, the middle, and the right.
Yeah. So, So the middle is actually, so on the problem it gave you, just had the left and the right. This far left is if you had more than one piece of information for the things.
And then you add it all together and put it in the middle.
Yes, which would be the left column. That makes sense?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
It's like the far left basically like where you do the
yes, where you do your calculations. But on the problems, they probably won't give you the column to do that. They'll want you to do it right here on the left-hand side. They, in the PowerPoint, they broke it into 3 columns so that you wouldn't get confused, so that you could see what was going on. That makes sense? Everybody got that? Everybody, that makes sense? Okay. So then for the statement of cost of goods manufactured, you got the beginning inventory, which is gonna go to the right-hand side because that's the total. There's no calculations needed. That is the total, okay? Now we need to know the total of direct material. That is all of the material accounts here, which is our total of materials used. We need our total of direct labor. And then we need all our factory overhead, okay? So that's what, those are, your product costs are the only thing that's in this left column, okay? All right, so when you add up all your product costs, that's called your total manufacturing cost. So 130, 110, 44 equals 284, okay? So if it's not in parentheses, that means we add it together, okay? So total manufacturing cost is total manufacturing cost plus our beginning balance, beginning work in process. Y'all see? Y'all figured, y'all follow me with that? Okay, so that's how we got the 314. All right, one thing to notice, if there's a line under it, that means you're gonna have to do something. That line means you're either gonna add or subtract something. Here, it means that we're gonna add these numbers together. Right here, gonna mean we're gonna subtract it, okay? So then you got your total manufacturing cost, then you're gonna subtract your ending inventory for work in process. And that's gonna give you your cost of goods manufactured. Okay, does everybody understand the breakdown of this statement? Because I can guarantee that you will see a problem on the statement of cost of goods manufactured and the statement of cost of goods sold. Okay. Is it making sense for everybody? If not, let me know. Don't be ashamed, because if just in case you didn't say nothing, don't mean that nobody else had no questions either. All right. So that's all for chapter 1. And we're gonna finish going over the problems in your study packet before we start chapter 2, okay? All right. Do you all remember the formula for the occupancy rate? Or the utilization? We did occupancy rate for utilization. Mm-hmm. What's the formula?
We did it off like that. We had number.
But that's the formula though. What'd you say? What y'all got in your notes?
I got like the number again,
Mm-hmm.
and the available room tonight.
Mm-hmm. That's the formula. Like in my notes, if I was taking notes, that's what I would have in my notes. So that's the formula you're gonna use, okay?
That applies to like every situation.
So that's the formula. All right. So we got this problem. It says Jake's Cabins is a small motel. Hold on, let's see if I can make this bigger. I'm sorry, I can't make this one bigger, y'all. It won't let me.
Press the little 3 dots. At the right side.
Right here? That's for the Google, I mean the actual,
It says
oh no, Zoom right here. You're right. I'm seeing you're so smart. Okay. All right, is that better? Okay. It says Jake's Cabin, and if y'all got y'all Cengage, y'all can follow along on here. It says Jake's Cabins is a small motel chain with locations near the national parks in Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. The chain has a total of 500 guest rooms. The following operating data is available for June. So They got the number of guests, how many nights per visit, and the guest nights. All right, so we're gonna put the formula on the board. Somebody give me the formula again. Guest nights, but what does guest nights include?
No, like, oh, what?
These number of guests times number of nights per visit.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be guest number times nights, well, visits. It's gonna say visits. All right. Because the formula say guest nights, but we know guest nights is guests, the number of guests times the how many nights or how many visits they got, right? Divided by what's the bottom?
Available room night.
Y'all agree with him? What's considered an available room nights? Amount of rooms available and what else?
This is the study component.
Mm-hmm. This in your study pack. All right. So the first question asks us, determine the guest nights for June. So the guest nights is, so we got all, can y'all see all the information? All right, so it says determine the guest nights. So the guest nights is, what do y'all think we're gonna do to determine the guest nights for June? This is all the information for June. Are you gonna do, because they already calculated it for you. So you're gonna add up all this in this column. That's gonna tell you to determine the night, the guest for the whole month of June, okay? Excuse me, what's your name?
No,
Okay. You in accounting 212? Okay. All right, so so in your Cengage, there's it should say chapter 1 study packets, and that's what we're going over. We're on problem number 2.
Okay.
All right. So to answer A, it says determine the guest nights. You're just gonna add up the total of the guest nights here, okay? Can somebody add that up and tell me what you got? It should be the 4,400, 3,600, 2,250, 2,400 plus 100. Everybody got it?
Thought it was 750.
It's 12,750. Why you say that? All right. Now it says determine the available room nights for June. So the available room nights is 500 rooms times how many days in June? Times 30 days. So 500 times 30 is what?
15,000.
Okay, so now our occupancy rate is gonna be our guest nights, which is the 12,750 divided by 15,000. What do we have for occupancy rate? Which is 85%. Does everybody see how we got that?
Can you scroll?
Mhm. Right here or to the bottom?
Okay.
Okay.
And you got the 15,000 from 500.
Times how many days? So we had 500 guest rooms available because they told us that here, and it said for the month of June. So you gotta, it's understood that you know how many days is in June.
Mhm.
Okay? And it's 30 days in June, so 50 times, 50 times 30 is 15,000. Okay? Now, D says, assume that the occupancy rate for June of the prior year was 82%. Has the utilization rate for Jake's Cabin improved or declined?
Okay.
Which one?
Wait, it went from 82
To 85.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
Mhm. Gotcha. Okay. Y'all got how we did that? Any questions about that? The question y'all should have is how we got this number right here.
What, 12,750?
Mm-hmm.
We added it all up.
I know, but how would you, if you was looking at that and I wasn't up here teaching you, would you know to do that?
It's a business.
I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that everybody's clear. Okay? Okay. Because guest nights is the number of guests times their visits. That is why they gave you each number of guests at each location times the visits they had. And that is why we did the total. Okay? So whether they gave you 50 numbers or 2 numbers, it's the same thing, okay? All right. So that's occupancy rate. All right. This is to go over a little terminology. All right. It says a product sales territory or department or activity to which costs are traced is called a what? What are all costs tied to in your definitions? Is it a direct cost or a cost object? It's a cost object. So anything, so remember, the cost is anything that's you have a benefit is, a cost is something that requires a sacrifice to get a benefit, right? But it has to be tied to something, and what it's tied to is a cost object. An example would be, a product that we're selling. So if we got the wood, that wood gotta be tied to the guitar we're making, okay? So the cost object will be the guitar, okay? All right, it says raw materials costs are usually viewed as what type of cost? The product cost. Why is not a period cost? What's a period cost? Yes. Period costs are selling and administrative expenses. And because you have 2 big C costs, you have product costs and period costs. Product costs are direct material, direct labor, factory overhead. Period costs are selling admin expenses. Okay. And if you get stuck, it's the same information that's inside of your PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Factory overhead costs combined with direct labor are sometimes called, is it a conversion or a prime cost?
Prime.
Somebody said prime, somebody said conversion. What's a conversion cost?
Conversion costs are labor and factory overhead.
Okay, what's prime?
Prime is labor and material.
Exactly, so it's conversion because it's factory overhead and labor, okay? All right, the process of developing the short-term objectives and actions is often referred to. These are the 4 functions of the managerial process. So what part of it is it? The other one didn't even make sense to be there. But do y'all know the four functions? What are they? Yes. All right, so E says a sacrifice made to obtain some benefit is a what? The balance sheet of a manufacturer would include an account for cost of goods sold or work in process inventory. The balance sheet. No, you were right. So, a balance sheet said it has your assets, liabilities, and equity. Cost of goods sold is a part of revenue. Okay, so work in process is inventory. Inventory is the asset. Okay, so that's why it's on the balance sheet.
So cost of goods sold in different statements.
Yep. The implementation of automatic robotic factory equipment normally increase or decrease the direct labor of a product. So if you use some of the material for a robotic company, is it gonna increase or decrease your direct labor? It's gonna decrease it. Why? Think about what it just asked you. If you use, I said it wrong. If you use a robot to do some work for you, is that gonna increase or decrease your direct labor? It's gonna decrease it because direct labor is for humans. The robot did. So your direct labor would decrease because you're not paying as much money. Okay? All right. Y'all doing all right? Y'all doing all right? All right, I think this is the last, we got one more after this one. All right. All right, so from the choices presented, choose the appropriate term. An example of factory overhead would it be the CEO's salary or the electricity to run the assembly line? To run the assembly line. Or the CEO salary?
It's over, so I don't know.
No, you're right. Y'all right. I just want to make sure, because just because I said it twice, don't mean it's right or wrong. I need you to be confident in your answer, okay? Because a lot of times y'all be right the first time, okay? All right, direct materials costs combined with direct labor costs are conversion or prime. All right, what's conversion? What's prime?
Oh, yeah. Material cost.
It's prime. All right, long-term plans are called what kind of plan? Operational or strategic? Operational is what? Short-term. Because that's what they're actually doing right now, okay? Advertising costs are viewed as period or product costs.
Oh, period.
Because it's a selling or admin cost. It's a selling cost because it could be an admin cost for marketing. Okay.
You said long term is strategic and short term is
Operational. All right, it says the management process by which management monitors operations by comparing actual to expected results is that the evaluation or the measurement?
I mean,
It says the process in which you monitor the operations where you're comparing the actual versus and the expected. I'm telling you. So it's gonna be evaluation because you're looking at the actual versus the expected. So you're looking to see, you're evaluating what happened. Measurement is what you're gonna use it against. So if you evaluate it, now you're gonna measure and see if it falling to the actual goals. All right, F is the plant manager's salary will be considered what to the product? Is it direct or indirect?
correct.
Why?
This is the manager.
Yes, the plant manager is not out there making the guitars or the chairs or whatever you make it. Okay, that plant manager can be the manager for multiple products, multiple departments. Okay. All right, the salaries of factory supervisors are normally considered period or product cost? So the, period, everybody think period or everybody think product? What y'all think? All right, so we got period and product. It's a product cost. Because this, it says the salary of the factory supervisor. So this is a direct, it actually goes towards the factory. So it is a, actually it's factory overhead because it's an indirect, labor cost. Okay. If it was prime, it would be selling or administrative. Administrative would be someone that's not directly with the factory. It'd be just the manager, like the accountant or the HR person or something like that. Okay. All right. Y'all good on these? And I think, so no, this is the very last problem. Okay. All right. So it says financial statements of a manufacturing firm are as follows. Well, the following events took place for Sorensen Manufacturing Company during January. And this is also the first month of their operations as a producer of digital video monitors, computer screens. Okay. All right. They purchased some material. They used some material. They did direct labor. They got factory overhead. They got work finished goods. They got cost of goods sold. So cost of goods. So, oh, this is revenue. Sold goods for 1.2 million. So when you see something that says sold goods for, that automatically lets you know that's the money that they made because they sold it. Okay. Sold goods was a cost, so that's the cost of goods sold, and incurred selling expenses and administrative expenses. So we're gonna do an income statement. Income statement got what? What's on the income statement? Well, the bigger picture is income minus expenses, okay? So all income statements is income minus expenses. You learned that in financial. So with an income statement, the first thing you're gonna put is revenue. Excuse me. How much money did they make up here? Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Then you're gonna have cost of goods sold. How much did they tell us was our cost of goods sold?
675,000.
And we're gonna subtract that out, so 675. And so that's gonna give us our gross profit. That PowerPoint slide that has the picture of the statement of manufactured goods also has a copy of an income statement, just in case you need to review your income statement. Okay. So what's 1.2 million minus 675,000? All right, that's our income. So our expenses. Our expenses are, what is our selling expense? Yep. What's our other expense? Administrative expense. These are our prime costs. So what was our prime? 125. When we add those together, give us our total operating expense of how much?
330.
340. All right, but we're gonna subtract this out, so we're gonna put a negative there because we're gonna subtract it out. So this is gonna give us our net income. Because remember, the income statement is revenue minus expenses give you Net income or net profit, I mean, net income or net loss, okay? So 525 minus 340 is what? Okay, if it was negative, then it would have been a net loss, okay? Everybody get how we got that?
No,
Mhm.
you would say 525 minus something to get the 340, right?
So the 525 minus the 340 would give us the net income.
Oh, and the 340 is those added up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's negative on this side to let you know to subtract. So if you was writing it down, you would have put it in parentheses.
Why don't revenue and cost of goods sold go on the left?
If you had to work it out, it would be on the left. But because they gave it all to you, don't have to work it out, then it'd be on the right. So if in the information they said this is cost of goods sold, they automatically let you know you ain't even got to work out cost of goods sold. So anything on the right, those are your totals where you don't have to work it out. That make sense? You said go up?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
down, okay, wait. To which part? Tell me, right here? Okay. Everybody got this?
You put the negative right there. I want to rest on. It's a negative right there because the expense is right. I mean, you counted something.
Yep. So he made a good point. Why did we know to subtract it out? Because that's a cost. It costs us something. Okay. So this cost of goods sold was a cost. That's how we knew to subtract it out. And also the expenses cost us something. But also the if you look in the PowerPoint or in the book, example of the statements, it tell you you're gonna subtract it. Okay, but that's the reason why you subtract it. Okay.
Thank you.
It's in your Cengage. Let me see if I have a blank. I do have a blank packet. I do. But it's the same thing that in your on your canvas. Now,
I'm just gonna follow this line.
now, I didn't realize that that page can turn on this one, so you're missing problem 2 and part of problem 3. But it is also in your Cengage. All right, everybody good on the income statement? Now they ask us to do the balance sheet. All right, so they just want to know our balances. So our material, what is our total balance for material? It's a trick question, I'm telling you now.
250.
So you got 250 for materials. Anything else?
What about the 180?
What you gonna do with it? Subtract it. Yeah. So it's gonna be 70. So does everybody understand why we gonna subtract why we're gonna subtract the 180 from the 250? So we used it. Okay, so the balance in here is 70,000. Okay, your work in process. All right, this is our material. This is our information. We on work in process. What we're gonna use for work in process? Yeah. Anything else we're gonna use for that?
What about, I don't want to say
No.
factor overhead. I'm not.
It's a transfer 760 of the work in progress. So what's the rest?
So you're gonna have your so if you used 180, you ain't sold it yet. So you used it, and where did you put it?
In production.
Finished.
What's the name of it? not finished goods, was. It says we purchased the material,
So it
so,
was raw material, work in progress, and
okay, so we got raw material. This is everything we purchased. We purchased it, have not used. Okay, that's everything that's in our warehouse, like we just put it in the storage unit, okay? So that's everything in the raw materials. So they say we bought $250,000 worth of materials, right? It says we used it. If we used it, that meant that it moved over here to work in process. 180 of it went to work in process, because we ain't done with it. We just took it out of the warehouse, put it on the assembly line. Okay, so now we use 180. That left our balance of 70,000, right? That's the same thing we just said. That's what that means, okay? So the raw material balance is 70,000. We got work in process, 180,000 of raw material, okay? Work in process also include material, labor, factor overhead. What else we gonna add here? How much labor did we have?
450.
How much factor overhead did we have?
Maybe 8,000.
Add them together, what is that? Is it 21? Is it, I got 18. Check my math. I use calculator.
18.
Okay, alright. And then, we're not done, then they told us that, what they say, we transferred, 760 out of work in process for finished goods, right? So then we transfer over here to. That's that for finished goods, okay? We used how much, 760? So we gotta take the 760 out of work in process, that leaves us how much?
50,000.
So we move 760 into finished goods. And in finished goods, what else they tell us? We sold something, right? So that meant that we sold how much? 6 what?
75.
And that is 85,000. Then we talk about what happened. All right, so we got these guitars that we made, right? We got our inventory to make our guitars. And we got $250,000 worth of material inside our warehouse, right? We got an order from somebody and they said, hey, we need $180,000 worth of material to make these guitars, okay? So that meant that we had to take $180,000 worth of material and put it on the assembly line, okay? So then that left us a balance of 70,000. We was on the assembly line, we made all the guitars that we was gonna make for the month of January. And it cost us $450,000 in labor, $180,000 in factory overhead, okay? So it cost us $810. And then what we actually got finished with was $760,000 worth of cost, okay? So we moved that over to finished goods, okay? So that left our balance of 50,000, okay? When we got the finished goods, now we got all the guitars that we was supposed to make. Now somebody said, hey, we're finna give you the money for $675,000. dollars worth of guitars. So this meant that that's the cost of the guitars that we actually sold for that 1.2 million, okay? And so we're gonna subtract that from that, and this is our balance in finished goods, so this is our ended inventory and finished goods. That's what happened throughout the month of January. That make sense? So when it asks you in the question, you just need to know, follow the money. For materials, you told me we started with 250 and we ended, and we took out 180. So now I know my balance is 70,000. Okay? Work in process. I know I started with 810, so I'm gonna subtract the 760, and that gives me 50,000 here. Finished goods, I know I started with 760 and I spent 675, so I got 8,500 left, 85,000 left. Yeah, I think I'm right or wrong? I think I'm right. Yeah. Okay. Do y'all get that? Okay. So if you need any more, if you kind of need to narrow that down a little bit for you, in the PowerPoint, look at this, this flow chart is a good flow chart to help you kind of make sure you understand what happens, okay? That's saying the same thing as that, but this is just laid out a different way. It's saying you got the material and it goes straight to material inventory. When we start putting in the action, it goes into work in process. That's where our material go. Our indirect labor gonna go here, and our overhead gonna go in work in process. Work in process gonna go into finished goods, and then it turns into cost of goods sold. That's this chart is saying the same thing we just said right here. Okay. And I guess we're gonna start on chapter 2. Go ahead.
You go back to gross profit,
Which one?
gross profit.
On the PowerPoint or on the
On that.
on here? Okay. Up here? Right here? Okay. So on the income statement, they're gonna have revenue. Revenue is gonna be revenue minus cost of goods sold is gonna give you your gross profit. Okay. So we sold 1.2 million, but it cost us this 675. So what we actually made is 525. Okay. So when you have those guitars, it sounds good to say, hey, we made $1.2 million. You received $1.2 million, but you already spent $675,000. Okay. And they gave you $525,000 in profit for those guitars that you sold that month. I think they said, oh, the TV monitor, that's what they selling. Okay. That makes sense about the gross profit? You sure? You good? Okay. Anybody else got any other questions? Take a minute and on your packet, if you got any questions or something that will help trigger your memory, I will write that down on your packet so that when you're studying, you know, okay, well, we like with the balances, right? Okay, I know the materials are 70,000, but let me see why was it 70,000. So then on my note, on my packet, I would have, oh, this was the 250,000 of purchases, and this was 180,000 of the used material. Okay, I will write that down in my packet, so then when I'm studying and looking at it, you understand where those numbers come from. They're not like numbers out the air. Because if you saw the exact same problem, I guarantee you it's just gonna be different numbers. Okay. Anybody got any questions about that? And I think I misspoke. I said that this was the balance sheet. This is not a balance sheet, this is an inventory balance sheet. So it's just, this is a managerial, report. They just wanna know what's the balances for the inventory. So it's not the financial statement balance sheet, okay? We good? And those are the 5 questions that's in your study packet. If you can work out problems like that, you will be more than prepared for your exam for the chapter 1 part. It won't even be all those problems, because of course it's gonna be over 3 chapters. But it will give you a good idea of what problems gonna be on there. Okay. All right, let me call roll and then we can get out of here. And if y'all have any questions, you can come down to the front if you don't want to ask in front of everybody. Amelia? Raise your hand. Okay. I'm still trying to attach races. I was like, it's one of you two right here. All right, I know now. Christian?
Here.
Ishmael's not here. Skylar is. Malcolm, that's Malcolm. Ariana. Oh, that's the girl that plays basketball. Oh, she was told me she was gonna be gone. Michaela? Makila. Okay, I'm sorry. Hood. Y'all know what this is? Aquilas? All right, Marquise. Ethan. Trent. Oh, you tricked me. You was sitting over there Tuesday? Okay. Jalea. Did I say that right? Okay. Marquita.
Here.
Amara. And Broderick. Okay. All right, you guys. I will see y'all on Tuesday. Tuesday, we are starting chapter 2, okay? Yeah, have a good weekend.
Okay, I got Robin Hood, and I started with, I need to ask you something.
Okay.
They really made me lost my money, and I was gonna get the license. They kept asking me, did I have a company? I ain't wanna lie to them people. You know what I'm saying?
You should have told them no. Or you could have told them, yeah.
I could have just, okay, I ain't really see.
Yeah.
I just started doing a tutorial, though. I've been doing a tutorial, taking my notes though. So
Yeah.
by the time, I get the certificate though, I'm email you though, so
Okay.
I can take it much still. I just been trying to understand it first, I don't rush through it though.
Yeah.
I need to know
Yeah.
it. I do got Robin Hood though.
Good.
I didn't put something in there.
Okay. Good.
I email you. I should be done with the certificate probably tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
I need to know.
Okay. Keep me updated and let me know, okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank
All right, you're welcome.
you. Oh, last
It's
thing.
coming in.
So when I do get the certificate, all right, they gonna put me with a bunch of people that kind of need work, or like, is it up to me